Hey everyone, thanks for checking in. So today I'd like to talk about what cooking oil you should use. So first I'm just going to give you kind of the flat out recommendation, and then afterwards, for those of you who really want to understand the meat, so then you don't get confused by pseudoscience or people pulling at random facts to support a faulty conclusion, I want you to understand it well enough so you can understand, okay, this is why I want to use solid fats at room temperature or saturated fatty acids versus unsaturated fatty acids when I'm cooking. But before we just talk about why we're using the saturated fatty acid versus unsaturated fatty acids in cooking, first let's discuss kind of the principles, and this is kind of a fundamental principle when trying to make sustainable changes to improve things. So, for example, people think going on a diet that means no sweets, cutting out all sugar, and I take very extreme attitudes, and I know I've done this in myself. I try to be very Puritan, be 100% perfect all the time, and that works for a couple times, depending on how strong your willpower is. It can work for months even, but then you crash and burn inevitably. And a better way to go about making changes is to go from less optimal to more optimal and to find kind of the low-hanging fruit. So the cooking oil you use, it's not going to drastically change how you feel in one meal, but if you're trying to be as healthy as you can and improve your nutrition, you're probably going to be cooking a lot at home. So even making a tiny positive change over time, you think about in a week, if you cook dinner every week, that's 7 meals. If you think of over a month, right, that's almost 30 extra dinners. So if you can make a tiny positive change, compounded over months and years, they're going to be a huge substantial benefit. So just to really understand, we always want to be using saturated fatty acids or fats that are solid at room temperature, right? We have a coconut, it's solid. We have our butter, grass-fed better. I'll talk about it in a future video, solid. Avocado oil, it's great, super healthy oil. I love to put it on my salad. I don't cook with it. You can kind of get with avocado and olive oil at low to medium temperature, but again, you're kind of playing with fire. Flaxseed, definitely don't want to cook with this. I love flaxseed. I have it in my smoothies. Tastes great, super healthy for you. Don't want to cook with it. Olive oil, again, this is the one you can most readily get away with because it's a monounsaturated fatty acid, and we'll kind of discuss what that means later on. But I love to have my salads. I won't really cook with it unless it's very low temperature. And so when we talk about fatty acid, what is a fatty acid? Right? So I think a lot of these terms come from chemistry, so it's kind of cool to understand, okay, what are these? So with a fatty acid, what it is you have a long chain of carbons and hydrogens, and that's really the crux of the fat, what gives it the waxy, oily feeling. And then you have a carboxylic acid group, which is why it's called an acid. And so in a saturated fatty acid, you have the same carboxylic acid group, right, which is a carbon bonded to 2 oxygens and the alcohol group, create the carboxylic acid group. But then your fatty acid chain, it's saturated. What that means is that every carbon has all the hydrogens it can attached to it. Or a simpler way to think about it is there's no double bonds, right? So if you have a double bond, then you're in the realm of unsaturated fatty acids because not every carbon has the most hydrogens possible. So when the word saturated is talking about how many hydrogens are attached to the carbons. So you may have also heard the word trans fat, and that's something that's not typically seen in nature because when you get a double bond in that fatty acid chain, it tends to be in a cis configuration. All that simply means is that the 2 highest substituent groups are on the same side. So none of that is really important for you unless you're a chemistry major or you want to go to medical school or have to write the MCAT. But practically what it means is that the molecule has a kink. And if we just understand basic chemistry, we're going from solids to liquids to gas, the molecules in a solid are very compact, they get more movement, and gas have the most movement. More movement means more energy, they're more reactive, and that's why if you're buying a good product, such as flaxseed, which is a polyunsaturated fatty acid, you're going to want it to be in an opaque container, and it should be refrigerated because these are very reactive. They react with heat, light, and oxygen, and they'll create kind of very bad carcinogenic substances. So unsaturated fatty acids, because of that kink, because they're cis configuration, they're not able to coalesce together as well. Therefore, they tend to be in a more liquidy state, and that's why they're liquid at room temperature. They can't be as compact, right? Because as we know, we can change phase without changing temperature just by increasing or decreasing pressure. So these tend to be liquid at room temperature, and these double bonds, if you understand chemistry, you understand like electrophilic addition, nucleophilic substitution, all that fancy words about the chemistry that happens, carbon double bonds are very reactive species. And when you're heating them up, heat, light, oxygen, as I mentioned before, they can react with these fatty acids and they create a lot of carcinogenic, unhealthy substances. So olive oil itself is very, very healthy, especially if you get extra virgin olive oil. But when you cook it, you drastically transform because it's not very stable. That's why things like butter, like in India, they've always used butter to cook. It wasn't until food industries, which could make a lot of money taking all their food product crap that they had nothing to use for, and they could convert it to margarine, and they could sell it for you, sell their garbage to you and charge you even more. That's when people started rapid increases in cardiovascular disease, and you can just look at the epidemiological. As soon as saturated fat intake is decreased, so is heart disease, diabetes, etc. Right? So saturated fatty acids, because of their chemical structure, they're much more stable versus the unsaturated fatty acids. And something that's a bit confusing, I know my mom attended kind of a cooking seminar, not really cooking, a chef kind of showcasing his kitchen, and he was saying, oh, I use grapeseed oil because it has a high smoke point. So that is absolutely factually true. And smoke point simply just refers to when an oil burns. So grapeseed oil doesn't have a very high smoke point, but it's still a polyunsaturated fatty acid. So just because it doesn't completely burn for a high temperature, even at temperatures below that, it can still have damaging effects, changing the fatty acid because there's a double bond. Heat, light, oxygen are still going to react. Just as you increase the temperature, especially on a stovetop, you're just asking for bad things to create carcinogenic substances. So you really want to stay away from these unsaturated fatty acids when you're cooking. They're very healthy. Have them raw. Have flaxseed oil in the morning, in your smoothie. Have these on your salads. Great. When you're cooking, you want to stick to a saturated fatty acid. So grass-fed butter, coconut oil, palm oil. So I hope you really enjoyed that video. If you have any questions, please let me know, or any clarification, I'd be more than happy to answer them. If you have any further cooking questions, please let me know. And if you did enjoy the video, please give it a big thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to continue getting updated about really cool cooking videos. Thank you.